You've probably said this before. Everyone seems kind of interested and would like to buy from me. A junior SDR told me that once, right before he burned more than 30 days chasing replies that never turned into meetings. It wasn't effort, it was misreading signals. He wasn't separating curiosity from urgency. Here's the difference I want you to tattoo on your brain. Interest is passive. It sounds like, send me more info. Intent is directional. It sounds like, we're evaluating. We need to fix this. Who solved this? What would you do if you were us this quarter? If someone replies with curious, send me more info. That's interest. If they ask, has someone fixed X? And they mention a timeline or decision, that's intent. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what intent looks like and how to build a list of people who actually need help right now. Picture this, it's late, you've reread the email again and again and again, new subject line, new opener, still nothing, and you start thinking, maybe I'm just bad at this. You're not bad, you're early. Most outbound doesn't fail because you don't know how to write. It fails because you can't create a sense of urgency. If the buyer doesn't feel the pain yet, there's no clever copy that fixes timing. You're knocking on doors that aren't ready to open. You can see timing problem in the patterns. Replies are polite, not tense. They say interesting and then they vanish. Meetings get booked, then stall immediately because qualification was weak. You hear looks cool, maybe later this year. That's definitely not a copy issue. That's you showing up before the pain exists. But when someone says, we're actually discussing this internally, you're on time. That's when you execute. That's the signal you need to find. Most reps are trained to look for activity. You need to train yourself to look for change. Change creates urgency. Activity is just noise if you don't have internal changes. When something shifts inside a company, problems show up whether they planned for them or not. Here are a few signals that I train SDRs to watch for. Funding, hiring ramp, tech changes, new offices or expansion, new or change in regulations, leadership change. These aren't weak signals, they're early signals. If you act early, you get to shape the deal before competitors even see it. Example, you see a company raise a Series B and hire 4 SDRs in 90 days. If you wait for them to complain, you're late. If you reach out with teams that grow this fast, usually see reply rates drop by 21% in 90 days. Here's how to avoid it. You're early and relevant. Now, let me tell you how an AI intent-based system can work for you. Whenever people hear AI system, they assume it's another tool that promises meetings. That's the fastest way to ruin this. AI isn't here to replace your thinking. It's here to scan what you could never scan manually. Your edge comes from what you delete. Here's how it works. AI surfaces intent accounts. You can do that with Perplexity, then you decide if the smoke is actually fire. Ignore the rest and work the real ones with urgency. If AI surfaces 100 intent accounts and you try to work all 100, you drown. If AI surfaces 100 and you delete 50 without hesitation based on your criteria, ICP, and market knowledge, you get leverage. The system works when AI finds a lot and you stay ruthless about what deserves your time. Step 1. Use AI to find live demand. If you use AI like a list builder, you get list builder output. You have to ask a different question. Who is under pressure right now? Why should I reach out? And why would they care about what I have to say? Prompt for moments and problems, not personas and job titles. Here's a quick check. If the output doesn't make you feel comfortable skipping over most of it, it's weak. Instead of opening Google and typing find VPs of sales at X companies, you open Sales Navigator and filter for companies that hired SDRs in the last 30 days, then layer job posts plus recent funding in Clay, enrich with Full Enrich, and ask Perplexity or ChatGPT to flag which ones mention low reply rates, pipeline gaps, or outbound scale issues in the last 2-4 weeks. One real moment beats 50 perfect fits. A good output looks like company plus what changed plus why that change creates pressure, enough for you to decide if it's worth touching. Example, Stripe just hired a new VP of RevOps, which usually means processes are being rebuilt and tools are being reevaluated, creating short-term pressure to fix reporting, pipeline visibility, and outbound efficiency. Here you have 5 real examples of intents and their pressure levels you can use now. New VP or head of RevOps joins. They need to prove impact fast and usually uncover broken processes and bad data. CRO or VP sales replacement. The new leader questions the existing motion and pressures the team to show quick wins. New CEO with a growth mandate. Growth expectations increase immediately and expose weak pipeline generation. Series A, B, or C funding closed. Investors expect predictable revenue and scalable outbound, not experiments. Missed revenue targets last quarter, leadership looks for fast fixes, and outbound is often the first lever. CRM migration or rebuild. All data issues surface, and teams realize how unreliable their system was. Step 2. Qualify and compress context. If you can't explain the problem in one breath, you don't understand it yet. If you're confused, the buyer will be too. 4 questions I'd force every SDR to answer. Is the problem clear? Did it start recently? Are they close to a decision? Is there evidence of action internally? Then compress it into 1 or 2 lines the buyer would agree with. Example, looks like hiring ramped up fast. That usually creates X change and Y challenge within 90 days. I mocked up how teams avoid them. Want me to send it? Keep it clean and tight. Step 3, show value. Before you ask, if you ask for time first, buyers protect their calendar. That's normal. But if you show up with work already done, the dynamic changes. For example, you send a 2-minute tele recording pointing out 1 broken step in their outbound flow and 1 fix. Now that you've built the thing, the next step is how you package it in the first message, because this is where most reps turn a good insight into a generic pitch. Use what I call the TPRO framework. Trigger, problem, proof, open, reference. The trigger, state. The problem, it creates. Mention what you built and why it matters. Low pressure CTA to open a new conversation. Avoid vague compliments or anything that sounds like you're fishing. Here's an example. Notice you're hiring SDRs fast while reply rates are dropping across the industry. I mocked up a simple sequencing change that teams in your space are using to avoid the 90-day dip. Want me to send it over? That kind of CTA does something important. It lowers the guardrails. And that's why this approach gets less resistance in real life. When timing and relevance are right, objections don't disappear. They change. You stop hearing brush-offs like, send me an email. We're good. I need to talk to my boss. And you start hearing evaluation questions. How would this work with our current setup? What would this look like for us? How would you handle this in our scenario? Those questions don't show up by accident. They're predictable. That's why strong outbound doesn't wait for them to surface on a call. Before you write a single line of copy, you map the objections you already know will come up. Then you answer them upfront, directly in the message. The simplest way to do this is a short PS that neutralizes the concern before the prospect even asks. When objections are handled in advance, the conversation moves forward instead of stalling. Example PS. PS. This usually works alongside your existing stack. No rip and replace. We adapt to what you're already running and test in parallel. Example PS. PS. This isn't a generic playbook. We tailor the setup to your current motion, team size, and market, so it fits how you already sell. That's the deal opening. Once you start getting those questions, you'll realize this isn't a copy tweak. It's a different motion. And if you want it to keep working, you have to make it repeatable. If this only works when you remember to do it, it dies the moment pipeline pressure hits. To make it repeatable, you need an operating system. Your job is to protect signal quality and limit volume so relevance doesn't collapse. Follow the SSP framework. Signal mining sprint, systematically surface fresh, high pressure intent, signals where change is already happening. Signal hygiene pass. Aggressively remove anything without urgency, friction, or momentum. No pressure equals no outreach. Precision build window. Design and deploy a hyper-relevant outreach flow for a maximum of 5 signals at a time. Focus beats volume. That's the daily cadence. And then you have the weekly calibration rituals. Signal pruning reset. Permanently eliminate weak, ambiguous, or decaying signals from the system. Response, reality check, review replies and outcomes to redefine what strong intent actually looks like in the real world. Skip the hygiene step and the system collapses. Volume sneaks back in, relevance disappears. If you skip the delete step, volume creeps back and relevance dies. All right. Now You're getting real intent on the calendar. Now we talk money. How to price and position this when urgency is high without dropping your pants on price. Here's how I'd frame it. I call it the ANR strategy. Anchor on cost of inaction. What breaks if they do nothing for 90 days? Narrow the scope. Sell a specific outcome, not a full transformation. Reverse the risk. Make the first step feel safe. For example, based on your hiring ramp, one missed quarter costs you around 300K in pipeline. Let's run a 30-day pilot focused only on reply rates. If we don't generate qualified conversations, we stop there and you don't pay beyond that. Now the buyer is choosing action versus delay. Now zoom out with me for a second, because if you don't understand where outbound is heading, you're going to keep fighting the wrong game. For years, you could win by doing more. More emails, more calls, more activity. That era is over. Buyers ignore anything that smells like guessing. The shift is simple. It's not just who you contact, it's when you show up. Personalization won't save you if timing is wrong. Perfect copy won't matter if nothing changed on their side. The reps who win now aren't louder. They're earlier and more precise. Here's what to do next. Pull your last 20 outbound replies. Mark the ones that mention change, a problem, an internal decision, something urgent. Then rebuild your outbound so more of your messages land after something shifts, not before. And if you're rebuilding your outbound this year, subscribe. I'm going deep on this whole intent-based motion and how to run it daily.